All right, Francisque, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Judy,
thank you, Francisque.
and
Judy.
yes, and Chris, it's you and me. We're bringing it home here. Day
I
one.
saw that. It's been a long day for you guys.
Yeah, and not so much for me, but I'll take the credit. This is happy hour as far as I'm concerned. So let's have a little fun. And it sounds like that's what you do. We just spoke with Jason and he shouted out to you for working with and around and being part of, in many ways, bringing like the fun, right? The energy. Talk a little bit about Gridlife. And I see you went to art school. You went to what, Kendall? I had a friend who went there.
Yep.
And so I already kind of get the vibe, but combining that with the car culture.
Yeah. So yeah, Jason, and shout out to Jason and Global Time Attack. We're really good friends. We're kind of sister organizations, and we work together on a lot of stuff because we do similar stuff. So we're kind of the other large Time Attack organization as far as motorsports stuff. So we are very cognizant of each other's schedules and try to lift each other up and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, Gridlife, there's a lot to talk about in regards to like the amount of things that we do. You know, but essentially we're a motorsports sanctioning body in an event series, like kind of wrapped into a lifestyle brand. And we're focused on kind of bringing the car curious closer to motorsports. And the way that we do that is through events and content and kind of bringing those individuals throughout car culture closer to different types of racing and to the racetrack. So we produce, I think next year we're going to have 14 events in total. And then 2 of them, which we're best known for, are going to be what are our music and motorsports festivals. So essentially, those could be described as kind of a Carcella. So it's a 3-day or 4-day event, camping on site. And it's basically built around 18 hours of programming every single day, from on-track stuff to big headliner music performances at night. We've got esports and arcades that we set up, and essentially kind of the vision for all of it is, yeah, you mentioned I went to art school. So my background is actually in advertising. I was a global creative director, and then super into motorsports. So have been doing kind of track day stuff since 2003. And then also really into music. So really into festival culture and kind of a deadhead fish head. Been to a lot of, you know, big festivals, Coachellas and Bonnaroos, and things like that. And Gridlife is really just kind of a mashing of all those things that I had a lot of passions for together. So and kind of the strategic nugget that brought it all together is I was doing a whole lot of road race stuff, right? Car guy. So I started, you know, kind of my car journey by like getting a CRX and getting stuff at the AutoZone or wherever, you know, and kind of like moving up from there, and then kind of fell into, you know, grassroots motorsports and track days and road racing, you know, and then kind of looking at all my other friends and kind of segmentations amongst, you know, the enthusiast world. So my drifting friends are like drifting somewhere else, right? They don't come to my road race events, right? And then my friends are into car shows and kind of street scene. You know, they're doing their Friday night cruises, but they never make it to the racetrack. So you know, kind of the festivalization of it all, and kind of building this atmosphere that brings more people closer to motorsports was really the strategic goal of all of it. But in the end, it was all kind of just smashing a lot of my passions together and trying to build the event that I wanted to attend, and ensuring that even if somebody came from outside of the culture, right, somebody who wasn't you know, a car nerd on steroids, to use Jason's words, you know, wouldn't get bored. You know, so even me being a car guy, you know, I go to a car show and you give me about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I've walked the show and I'm kind of wrapped with it. So like Gridlife is built around like starting at 9 a.m. and then not realizing it's 9 p.m. because there was so much, you know, so much energy.
That is great. That is great. And gaming as well, right? Like you
Gaming as well. Yeah. So I mean,
on all these touchstones, which I like it. I have the all direction drive also.
Right. Yeah. I think
whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a little bit of I think my inherent ADD, you know, kind of pushes us in a lot of different directions simultaneously. I mean, I think esports in general, you know, kind of our mission statement, you know, is motorsports inclusion, right? So that is our intention. So everything points towards that North Star. That's a pretty broad statement, but you know, when it comes to like bringing people closer to motorsports, especially the younger demographics, what's the easiest way to like experience road racing? It's through gaming, right? So we do gaming on a whole bunch of different levels. You know, our kind of top tier or most competitive tier, which has a ton of crossover with our actual competitors, is in the iRacing space. So we do tournaments throughout the off season. When the track is available within the platform, we have that set up in the arcade, so you can like race at Road America and then virtually race while at Road America. So we do like that type of stuff for all the participants, but we also do stuff with Forza and you know, some of the more less simulation based racing games as well, because those are the lowest barriers of entry to get closer to the community and get, you know, closer to motorsports.
What have been some of the challenges that you've found along the way lifting up something like this? And of course, it sounds fun and everything, but I know it's not that easy.
No, I mean, there's always challenges, right? So, I mean, I think in grassroots motorsports, we are very much like a grassroots sanctioning body. So we have, you know, we have a full track day experience, full ladder system for, you know, HPDE. We've got a wheel to wheel series, which we're running with Jason over at Global Time Attack. And then we have a time attack series as well. We do drifting, you know, and all that stuff. And I think a lot of the grassroots motorsports, the industry itself is based off of volunteerism, right? So it's kind of a hard industry to like build a business around, you know? So I think that's one of the big challenges at first. We have the youngest, I mean, I don't quote me on this, but I think we are the youngest driver paddock in North America. So our drivers, the people who are competing with us and on the track, are 24 to 38. That's our demo. So I think that that's pretty unique in that space. So in order to keep that accessibility, we have to keep our costs low, right? So as we like kind of scale things and add all these like features and layers, that ambition balance is like one of the biggest challenges, right? So I think pulling it off the ground, I mean, it's been Gridlife, as Gridlife has existed for 8 years. So like some of the like real struggles of the first couple of years where I like refinanced my house a week before the Road Atlanta event to like get the gates to open, you know, all that stuff has happened. We're kind of beyond struggles like that. And now it's a matter of like kind of controlling the ambition and really keeping the vibe and the energy true. If that makes sense, you know, and figuring out the right way to scale, right? So there's something precious about scarcity, you know, and it's not a party if it happens every night, you know. So like, what's the right way to get this experience out to as many people as possible, right? Is it about regionalization? Is it 2 festivals? Is it 4? Is it 1? You know, like, so it's kind of that type of juggle, which is all I kind of wrapped into, you know, the everything has like an expense against it, right? So like unbridled creativity is capped by a dollar sign, you know, a lot of the time. So I think that's like kind of the big struggle, and kind of controlling burnout in amongst that too, amongst the team and myself and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, right. It's fun. It is a ton of fun. And it's really exciting to build it, but it's also super challenging in a lot of different ways.
For those of you out there watching on EPARTRADE.com, if you've got a question for Chris, and I know you do, you can use the chat section. He's got the best job in the world, clearly. Taking car people and putting them together and making sure they have fun for 18 hours at a time. I absolutely love that. What about, I'll ask you the same question I asked Jason in terms of like expanding your reach through either television or social media or broadcast to bring people who can't be at these events and make them feel like they're part of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we put a ton of energy into that. So just like Jason, we do a live stream against our events. So last year we took the big leap and committed to streaming all 8 of our events, all 8 of our competition rounds. So, and we do a full production live stream. So I mean, it's almost IMSA level in regards to the type of coverage that we do. Right. So we've got 9 cameras, 2 drones, and, you know, bringing that to certain tracks is a challenge based off of like the scale of the tracks. But like, that's a big thing for us is going to be continuing that push, right? So particularly with our touring car series and our wheel to wheel racing and time attack, it's you know, being able to present that and get eyeballs on our competitors helps build an ecosystem, that helps those competitors build programs that enable them to participate in our events. And, and then if partners come in and help us produce that live stream, it helps us with exposure. And like, when all that stuff kind of fires together and works, that's kind of the all the gears turning kind of builds that like self-feeding thing that allows stuff like this to be sustainable. So, I think in regards to like where people can find us, everything is on our website, which is grid.life. So there's a ton of content. I would encourage anyone who's like kind of interested in the different types of motorsports that we do to check out some of our past live streams. I mean, some of our, the GLTC series, which is kind of it's a single class road racing series. And some of that racing is it's just great racing. Like the races are really good, and really competitive and really exciting to watch. So we've got all that stuff broken down, race by race recap, throughout our YouTube. And yeah, and we, me being kind of from an advertising background, the majority of people on my team are not necessarily from a racing background. They're from a content creation and an advertising background. So like they're thinking about, and the things we talk about every day is how to like get more people in, like how do we expose more people? How do we get more people excited about participating, not just in our series, but in the ecosystem as a whole, all of grassroots motorsports. So whether, they're doing an SCCA event, or they're going to go to Global Time Attack, or, any of the other, sanctioning bodies, and become a part of the
Raceway has
the motorsports community. We consider that a win. So like eventually they might make it to us, but we're really trying to like genuinely build an oven so that we can make more pies,
Well, and we need that. Automotive needs that. It's so challenging just to get involved. Like every kid gets a basketball thrown into their crib when they're
sure, right.
old. Cars are just a different culture. Brett's out there. Brett's got a question. If you've got a question, put it in the chat section. What has been this? We talked about this a little bit, but I'm sure you can expand. What has been your greatest failure / struggle, and how did you use that to fuel Gridlife to the next level? So maybe a challenge that didn't go the way you wanted.
Man, I mean, I think we're always like kind of failing in small ways. I can't think of anything. Like we're pretty, for as ambitious as we are, we're really strategic and really calculated in the risks that we take, so I think that there's been certain tracks that like didn't work out the way that we wanted to, or things that didn't quite scale the way that we wanted to, I suppose. And maybe some musical artists that we booked that didn't go over the way that we wanted them to, but like for the most part, like we're failing all the time, right, in small ways, and kind of like looking at it and constantly kind of pushing stuff forward, so I mean, I don't know if I can pinpoint everything as like a biggest failure, or even things that like we weren't able to kind of bounce back from. I mean, I think the thing that we do is we kind of run through an experience model with everything that we do. So we think about like all the different touch points before we like implement an idea. So that usually keeps us pretty shielded from, I guess, what you would call failure. But there's a ton of like little stuff that we try that like, potentially doesn't work, but it's usually at pretty small scales, almost to the point where it's like not necessarily noticeable, if that makes sense.
Do you have a flagship event, like one event that is larger or more important or more significant than the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think for traditionally the Midwest Festival has been our flagship event. I mean, the Colorado Festival is rising pretty quickly, but either one of the festival events are kind of our flagship. So that's the all ideas in, every creative execution that we can do 24 hours a day on full tilt, are those events. And essentially we have like kind of 3 different types of events. We do, typical kind of club race weekends, which they're scaled. They're you know, a lot of competitors and a decent amount of spectators, but they're essentially club race weekends. And then, you know, then we do just kind of basic track days, but then the festivals is when everything comes together. So that's when we bring all of the, you know, the sim machines and bring vintage arcade things in and set up a big tent and do an arcade. And, you know, we've got time attack and drifting and the GLTC program and potentially like some other special stuff that we'll do on track. You know, with Colorado, we've got off-road and trophy trucks, and we've got rally, and like kind of all those different pieces that are happening simultaneously. So I'd say either one of the festivals is kind of a flagship, that showcases all the things that we do.
Excellent, excellent. Before we run out of time, we got a couple of minutes left. I want to make sure you give everybody the touch points to reach out to you so they can get your schedule for 2022 and come check out an event, but also your YouTube channel and your social media access points, because that's how they're going to keep up with you. And honestly, I want to know how you're bringing in new people. Like how are people finding you? Is it through all of those things that I just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the major ways that people can find us, and those, you know, those places is everything's linked from grid.life. So it's www.grid.life, and that's kind of the hub for all the stuff that we do. And then across our socials, we're Gridlife Official. So that's Facebook, Instagram, are both Gridlife Official. We're Gridlife Fest on Twitter because Gridlife Official is too long to be a handle, and then we're Gridlife Official on TikTok as well. So we kind of have yeah, I mean, we use all those different channels and we use them differently, right? So there's different audiences and kind of different intentions across all the social channels. So like sometimes you're going to see repeated content, especially if you have like something you know, big that goes out, but you know, like we treat Facebook differently than we treat Instagram, differently than we treat TikTok, because the audiences are different. So that's definitely like one way that we try to bring people in by like, a lot of the stuff we do is coverage of the things that we're producing. You know, we do some kind of bespoke, you know, episodic style content and things like that. But, you know, a lot of that is, you know, coverage of the events that we do. And, you know, the other way that we bring people in is, you know, by providing a really great experience and then kind of bringing the right people into our community. So I think in the end, right, like we produce a bunch of motorsports stuff and we do festivals and we do esports, but really the product is a community. Like that's what we're building, right? So we're building a place for multiple people from different parts of the enthusiast world to come and feel comfortable, right? So a lot of the success of kind of the scale of things is been doing that for a lot of different influencers, right? So we kind of think about the Gridlife festivals in particular as like the place where the internet can come alive, and you can kind of touch the things that you've been following. So we have so many like kind of big YouTubers and social media folks within, you know, kind of the automotive ecosystem, and they come, and this is the place where they let loose, you know, so they hang out with their friends, and we definitely like have this kind of philosophy of like no us and them. So we try to make everything kind of this Venn diagram where like all the stuff overlaps. So like we put the drift guys next to the time attack guys, right next to the GLTC guys, and then we put them all on the same racetrack. So drifting isn't necessarily happening in a parking lot, you know, on the other side of the venue. We do it on the circuit so that the road race guy can be like, hey, did you see how that drifter like, you know, went sideways and initiated at turn 1, and they know where they brake for turn 1. So it's like all about building context between, you know, these different people. So I think we've been really lucky to have a lot of friends, you know, with influence that have become a part of our community. So a lot of that helps, you know, so like, you know, some of the people who, you know, Chris Forsberg is a good friend, Ryan Turk is a good friend, Vaughn Gittin Jr. is a good friend, Dai Yoshihara, a lot of people from the Formula Drift community, and you know, even Jim and Ryan who run FD have become good friends. You know, and then, you know, people like TJ Hunt, you know, he's come out with his cars and some things like that, and then they drive, right? So they come out because they want to participate and they want to be a part of it. And we, you know, we just kind of integrate everybody into it, you know, and I think that does well, you know. It's not, it's just kind of the place you want to be, and kind of trying to maintain that, if that makes sense.
It does. Well, when Gridlife comes to town, it's a happening. You want to go, you kind of know that you're going to be welcomed in. Now, you mentioned the music component. I'd love to know, like if, name some bands, right? Like somebody that is Gridlife worthy, and the style and genres that you might hear when you go to.
Yeah, I mean, we've been kind of all over the place in regards to genres, but we typically our electronic and EDM and hip hop has kind of dominated our lineups traditionally. But I think one of the things that we do is we have like a full festival production. So it's not just a DJ, on a smaller stage. Like we do like a full proper festival stage. So, some artists in the past have been like Waka Flocka, Killer Mike from Run the Jewels last year. For the younger demo, we had the Suicide Boys. So they're massive amongst like 23-year-olds. I mean, massive. So like the week after we had them, they debuted with the #1 album in the world for a moment streaming, yeah, we've had like Andrew WK on the rock side of things, and Black Pistol Fire is another group, and we had Ludacris one year in Atlanta because that makes sense for Atlanta.
Yeah.
So and yeah, I mean, I think we try to program, the music side of things, just kind of based off of it's got to be able to match the energy of the racetrack in general, and I mean, even at this point, I'm kind of booking artists that are younger than my own preference, So like when Gridlife first started, it was like, these are the bands I want to see, and there's still some of that, but the exercise now in doing talent buying and figuring out what artists work is kind of looking at, like, I do a lot of like scouring automotive TikTok and seeing what songs are being used amongst people who are putting TikTok videos up, and trying to find some common threads there, and like figuring out who those artists are, and then actually booking that artist, so so it is its own thing, figuring out like kind of who to book and what's going to work and what's not, and I don't think we've ever had any real misses there, but it's a little bit challenging because we're not like a multi-stage festival, right? Like Bonnaroo's got a big festival like that has 14 stages in total.
Yeah.
We have one, so right. Like, so the stuff that the artists we book, yeah, as of now, but, yeah, but the artists we book, we really gotta kind of consider everybody, right? Because tastes are wide amongst the automotive community, just like preferences towards your flavor of automotive enthusiasm, right? Drifting, road racing, or time attack, or like. So I think we have some liberties to be like flexible and kind of build programming from a music side that's a little more playlist-ish, but it's got to be high energy. It's got to be able to be something that kind of matches the vibe of it all,
No, I dig it. So if someone wanted to build a car to be a part of this, what's their easiest road to entry? And that's like easiest road of entry to participate with you guys without, breaking the bank.
Bring whatever car that you own and come and drive. So like, it's really that easy. So like we have so many layers of, kind of entry, like one of our fastest, like we do time attack, just like Global does. Our focus on time attack is a little bit different because we focus on it as a participatory sport. So we think about it in volume. So we put a lot of energy kind of into the middle groups. A little bit less on the upper end, right? We still celebrate the unlimited car, but we have a few classes that exist that are specifically about maximum fun per dollar. So from a time attack perspective, we have a group called Sunday Cup. And that's based off of it's a time attack class based off of the rough power to weight ratio of a stock Honda Fit. So that's a slow car. That's a slow car that uses no consumables. It barely uses brakes. And it also makes you a better driver. So you can come in with basically like any daily driver that's got the right, that passes tech and has, everything as safe as it needs to be to get on the track, and you can get on the track. So, I mean, we've had drivers that, fly down and bring the rental car, and you can absolutely do that. So it's not all that, but we we keep it as accessible and, as inexpensive as you want it to be. I mean, and that's one of our big goals, with the way that we price our entries and with the rules that we make around our competitions, is that you don't have to credit card race to follow your dreams, So
very important, very important. Chris, this has been amazing learning a little bit more about what you've got going. Festival atmosphere, music, gaming, drifting, racing, like all of these different touchstones, all at the same location. I can see why you've been successful. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I hope that people who are watching, whether they be on the participant level, sure, get involved, but I hope you can get some partnerships going and grow this thing even more. It's obvious that you've got the passion to make it happen.
Yeah, no, we've had a lot of really good partners that have kind of come into the mix over the last couple of years. So it's really appreciate kind of the industry getting behind us. I mean, we have a lot of fanfare and it feels great. And I really appreciate, you guys giving us this platform as well.
Excellent. And I see Judy and Francisque are back as we wind to a close here on the first.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Great session, Chris, and what a great way to bring new people into the sport, and that's what it's all about. And
Absolutely.
The concept for EPARTRADE is basically, in my opinion, there's a big hole in the internet. So the internet started many years ago, but there's never been an online business community for racers on the World Wide Web. The need for EPARTRADE is actually quite obvious. Basically, people in the business of auto racing need a place online to hang out and get their problems solved.
It's extremely simple for a buyer or for a supplier to interact on the platform. The first thing you need to do is sign in, which is free. And the second thing is, when you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information. If it's a company, you click on request more information, and then from there, it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
You can go to epartrade.com, you become part of a community of businesses in racing, and it makes sourcing products much easier than just on the internet or using Google.
At EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier through an email.
More than that, it's a place to go just to keep current every day. So it's a good place to start your workday in your racing business or in your offices of your professional race team. And you're current when it comes to new technology, industry news, technical papers, technical videos, all of that and more. We're not looking for a million hits per day. All we want is people who are really the volume buyers of racing products in the racing industry to be part of the little world of EPARTRADE. We have racing businesses participating from around the world. So you get suppliers from around the world, you get buyers from around the world.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
There are two types of people, racers and everyone else. Racer Magazine is for those who believe that racing is a way of life. Racer embodies the excellence that defines a sport driven by passion, courage, and ingenuity. Get 1 year of both Racer's print and digital edition for only $39 with instant access to our entire digital issue archive. Subscribe now at info.racer.com.